Thanks so much for watching our show. We really appreciate the support. It costs a lot to produce, so we're asking for donations and pledges here on Patreon. Thanks again. Welcome to See It and Feel It with Dr. Brett. And I'm Dr. Brett, and I'm back with Jahmaal Hays. Most of the time he's my editor and producer here, but sometimes he gets in front of the camera. Before we get started, I was fishing, and you guys tried the mahi-mahi, right? The dolphin.
Oh, man.
We were fishing this morning, and this is why I love living in Florida, right? Because you can fish in the morning and then do a podcast in the afternoon. Welcome back.
Isn't it great? Feel like you're on vacation?
It's amazing living here. It really is. The weather in March and April especially has been spectacular.
Yeah.
I mean, it's spectacular. And then when it gets warmer, that's okay too, because it's less crowded, right? So that's cool. So but we had a request to do a little conversation. We'll weave in the sports theme as we can, but we had a request to talk a little bit about the cancel culture dynamics that have occurred on and off for a while, maybe throughout human history, but they seem to have gotten worse somehow in the last year or two, and maybe in the last year in particular.
Big time.
What are your thoughts before I hop in and we'll go back and forth here?
Cancel culture. I mean, no matter what, everyone's going to have an opinion, so it's like, you got to draw the line. Like, we should just all be able to express and to be maturely say, all right, that's your expression, and okay, I disagree, but that's your expression. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, and so if you had to explain cancel culture for the audience, what would be your definition of that? How would you say, what do we mean by that for those that aren't familiar?
Cancel culture, oh man, there's so many aspects now because it goes so deep, but basically any kind of media or person that says something that anyone wants to find offensive or insulting, anything like that, basically just offensive in any way, then it has to be taken off of media. It has to be taken off of social media platforms, YouTube, Facebook. Books can't be sold. Like recently there was the Dr. Seuss one because some books were considered racist.
Green Eggs and Ham?
I don't think
so. I remember.
Yeah, I don't know, and I think it was just a couple specific ones, so that one's controversial. I don't even know because normally I'm really against cancel culture, but the whole Dr. Seuss thing, I'm like, it like they're specifically targeting a few books. Like I read Dr. Seuss, I like Dr. Seuss, so I'm like, now they're going after Dr. Seuss.
Just for the record, these guys I
don't know the background.
Just for the record, these guys just had a baby. These guys, because his wife is behind the camera and the baby's behind the camera. So you're going to be more in tune with Dr. Seuss at the moment.
Yeah, right. I love Dr. Seuss. Red fish,
I think,
blue
but the
fish,
metaphor,
one fish, two fish.
red fish, one fish, two fish,
right?
Blue fish, red fish, or something.
How do you feel about Dr. Seuss? They said he was anti-Semitic too, right?
Was he? Oh, like I'm shocked. No,
like
no.
What are we gonna do? We're gonna cancel all books. So you say no books can be sold because these people were racist.
Well, Henry Ford.
I was gonna say Ford cars can't be sold.
Was a notorious, right, racist, anti-Semitic. Like he was, And then we've had presidents like Woodrow Wilson and stuff that were notoriously like anti-black and anti-this and right. So, I think one of the themes is that if people have made mistakes, right, do they get vilified or are they nailed to a cross, or do they have an opportunity to say, look, I have a different perspective today. When we look back in the past, there are things I just wasn't aware of, didn't know, or maybe I was a racist in the past, but Mark Wahlberg, the famous actor, he got arrested, when he was in. What's that?
Does that change?
Does what change?
Do you get less racist over time?
I think it's possible. I'm a psychologist. I'm in the change business. I do believe change is possible.
Yeah.
So it's I think people can change, don't you?
I definitely think people can change. I just think certain beliefs are so ingrained that like for example, racism. My grandmother, I'm not going to try and convince her anything but that Jesus is the savior, and I'm not going to try and convince her that all religions have
a commonality,
a similar message, right? I'm not going to get into concepts like that.
Yeah. Well,
And
that's what I refer to playfully as sort of like old school. Like, the older generations they feel, I'm generalizing, okay, if we can get away with that.
Yeah.
But like they feel more intransigent, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're sort of more dug in. So I don't, like, in my worldview, you give them a little bit of a pass. That old school Southern racism, for example. I have a friend that kind of can be that way a little bit, and he's a good guy, but it's like the way he was raised, I'm not trying to change him, right? I'll point it out if it gets a little intense,
Right.
but I'm not going to try to change him, just like you're not going to try to change your grandma. It's impossible. Maybe it's not impossible, but it would be
What's it take,
very
right?
difficult, right?
Takes a lot.
Well, is it worth it, right? Maybe we can just understand that they grew up in a different generation, they had different beliefs, and some of the ways in which they're communicating is sort of like we would be considered racist, or I don't know, what do you call religious sexist when you have one religion you think is the best? I don't know what you call that.
Yeah, just
Like,
religious discrimination. I don't know, religious persecution.
really, yeah, but look, if you believe in something, right, what's the point in trying to convince you to not believe in something? What's the point there?
I don't think there is a point unless that belief is directly harming others, like in the case racism. But again, as for change, I mean, I'm sure people can see different perspectives, and sure, if someone was raised one way, then they can learn a different perspective and open up. But
but from my
it's tough. I give people the benefit of the doubt, but I'm not gonna say it's the majority.
The majority of people aren't going to change, is what you're getting at. I'm in the business where, from my perspective, I'm inviting people to change. My general theme issue with the cancel culture dynamic is there's an element of force there. They're trying to force people to believe a certain way or act a certain way. There's no invitation to look at things differently. That's where I come from.
Yeah, I see like with comedians all the time, like they're forced to apologize for jokes they made 20 years ago. I mean, it's like, oh, it was a joke, first of all, but also they're being forced to apologize. So like if they want to apologize or not, let that be up.
And the other piece of the equation is how many of the people that are doing all this judging, right? What makes them judge, jury, and executioner, so to speak, right? And what have they done in their past that they're not happy about? And okay, so maybe they've apologized for it, but then trying to force someone else to do it, I think is pretty uncool.
Yeah,
right?
I think we should have freedom of expression, and if you don't like something, like in the media, it's so easy to avoid something. If you don't like what someone's saying, it's so easy to just block, ignore, whatever, You don't have to look at it. Let them express, and you don't have to be a part of it.
100%. As you know, I do a ton of work with athletes, right?
Yeah.
And one of the core themes we got a baby in the background, not an athlete yet. His dad's more like a yoga mindfulness guy, but maybe mom will make him an athlete. I don't know here.
We'll see what he's
We're going
into.
to find out. But in terms of being a sports psychologist and working with athletes, one of my core themes is to eliminate the drama and distraction, to help them eliminate the drama and distraction from their lives. And then you perform at your highest level, whether you're a business person or an athlete, entrepreneur, or whatever it is. To me, the cancel culture dynamic is a lot of drama. Like, you know what I mean? Judging and forcing people.
Yeah, what you just said is so powerful. Like, just focus on what you want. Like, if you're an athlete, if you're focused on the game, focus on the game and let go of the noise. In life, same thing. Don't get caught up in the drama and the noise.
To play quarterback in the NFL is one of the most difficult jobs on the planet. It's such a high level of eliteness, and there's so much pressure. And there's been quarterbacks that have done the dumb tweeting stuff and gotten in trouble. And to me, it's a form of drama. I don't know. Do you tweet? I don't even tweet.
Yeah, sometimes, yeah.
Sometimes
you gotta stay off the political Twitter. Anything political is just off limits. Just everyone.
Because I just intuitively
it gets
stay
too
away.
intense. It gets too intense. But there's some really great communities on Twitter. So definitely. Yeah.
Okay, because for me, it feels like drama. I'm from a different generation than you, and it just feels like drama. Like what?
Definitely.
Right?
Yeah.
Like,
a lot of that.
Because if you notice, like some actress will tweet against some other actress or something or whatever, and they've got a little cat fight going or something, and it's like, I'm like, why even pay attention to that? Like, right?
Right.
And I feel like there's many elements of this cancel culture where people are sucked into the drama, and it's literally, again, the opposite of what I'm helping all these kids and athletes do. Stay out of all drama.
It's an oxymoron. We're talking about it right now.
Yeah. Well, we're hopefully clarifying our perspective on this. I'm good at that.
It's so easy to distance yourself. Focus on what's important to you. Like everyone wants to get caught up. You should focus on your family, your job, whatever, your sport, whatever it is, your hobby, and whatever that makes you that makes you happy. And so the whole cancel culture and trying to ban the internet, I think stuff is great to learn from. So we should leave it there. Like we need to leave up stuff about slavery and Nazis and stuff so that we know about it, not so that so it doesn't happen again. Not so we totally are afraid and avoidant of it.
Yeah, well said. Now, what is your take on the mistakes people have made in the past? Do they need to own those mistakes? Or if they're a public figure, maybe. If they're not, what is your take on that? What if someone was a racist and now they're not? Do they have to own that in front of the whole world? How does this work?
Like
from your perspective,
if it was me, and if there was something if there was something that I had in my past that that is not so kosher, and I have a different perspective now, and I kind of regret it looking back on it. If it was me, I would just want that to be up to me. I see it as more of a personal image thing. So if I want to improve my personal image, I can take an action and say, "Hey guys, I've changed," Yeah. But I think it should be totally up to them, and it's just they shouldn't be pressured into it. Yeah. But it still is their personal image.
Seeing. So that's what I'm seeing. People are sort of being forced into apologies, it seems like then they say the right thing on TV or wherever it is. And then I'm always thinking, but what do you really believe when you're forced into apologizing? Do you really?
Does that even count?
Does that even count, right? And I guess for some people it might, but for me it's all about your actions. If you treat people decent and kind, no matter what race, color, ethnicity, creed they are, then isn't that what matters?
Right. And if you can sleep with yourself at night, like I know I can sleep with myself at night. I don't need to apologize or make an announcement to the world that I did this thing that I regret, or Yeah. I can just move on and say, all right, I moved past that.
All right, so we're in agreement, you and I. We're going to keep this cancel culture segment tight and short here because I think we're in almost too much agreement to make it long. Yeah. So is there anything else you want to say before we wrap up the cancel culture dynamic that we're both like irritated and frustrated with?
Oh, man.
More or less.
When will it end? Where's the line? You got to draw a line somewhere.
Well, I'm going to invite people to stop doing it. Like, that's my invitation.
Yeah,
Stop it.
Be open.
Stop judging people because it is a lot of judgment. That's the other thing, is like they're trying to force people into being a certain way. Isn't that judgment?
Yeah.
All right, we're wrapping
and also,
up.
I don't know, is it discriminating? Like, hey, if you see things that way, like, are you forcing someone to see things a different way, like discriminating against someone's views, like expelling from society for thinking one way, even if it is like again, even like racism is a tough one too. Like if you're racist, whatever, just leave me alone. but I leave it to them, like.
In other words, they're
like if you're not hurting anyone,
beliefs.
Yeah,
exactly.
If you're not hurting anyone at the end of the day,
just keep clear.
And I think there's plenty, like there's people in like the KKK that just they do their rallies and their meet, and it's like a social thing, I guess. I don't know, but they don't actually hurt anyone. They don't do anything.
They call that to each their own, something like that, right?
But there was a TED talk of this dude, I think, I don't remember, he was an African-American dude, and he became best friends with the KKK leader.
I've seen that,
and,
And he actually helped the Klan leader kind of evolve as a human being. I can't remember that person's name, but I actually watched that as well. So that's and he did that by embracing, not by fighting.
Right.
So again, it's the judgment and the forcing that, right? Because we've seen people that have been like sort of judged viciously for voting for Trump as if they're automatically a racist, right? We've seen a lot of that.
Yeah.
And that is like one of the things I've always said in, always is not the right word, but as I've seen this dynamic occur is, aren't you allowed to be a conservative? Like, I'm not a conservative, but aren't you allowed to be a conservative?
I don't even know what that means. It's like,
right? Like, what if you're just conservative and you just vote traditionally Republican because you're conservative? Is there something wrong with you? Well, sometimes it seems like they're being made wrong. So again, what are we really doing here?
We shouldn't be judging.
Exactly. We're inviting people to allow people to just be whoever they are, right? All right, I'm Dr. Brett. I'm here with Jahmaal Hays. Thank you so much. Thanks for watching See It and Feel It with Dr. Brett, and stay tuned for part 2 of this interview. Remember to like, subscribe, and share with a friend.